Hi, I'm Eric. I'm a writer here at Crutchfield, and today we're going to look at the Rotel RA-1592 MKII integrated amplifier. I got a chance to try it out at home, and I wanted to walk you through the process and kind of let you know how it sounds. The Mark II is an upgrade of a very popular existing integrated amplifier that Rotel has been making for a long time. One of the things that they've changed is that they have put in a new digital to analog converter, or DAC. It's a 32-bit 384 kilohertz DAC, so it sounds very nice with digital sources. It's also compatible with MQA files now, which is a high-res format that is of fairly recent vintage, and it's rune ready as well. And then they've made a lot of changes to the amplifier stages and just a lot of the internal electronics to make everything more efficient. The first thing I noticed when I took this out of the box is that it is heavy. It's nearly 40 pounds, and there's a reason for that. Rotel always puts a toroidal transformer inside that they make in their own factory, and they are heavy. That gives you a low noise power supply that is very efficient, and in this particular machine that means it gives you 200 watts per channel to play with, and it's got A and B speaker outputs, so you can drive two pairs of speakers very well. Something else that I personally like about Rotel is that they have a very clean front panel. You'll see that all the buttons are clearly labeled. They're very easy to find. There's a convenient Type A USB port on the front for plugging in your Apple device. There's also a headphone output on the front if you need to listen so that other people can't hear. Maybe it's late at night, maybe you're working in an office. You can definitely plug in a pair of headphones and just go from there. And all of those functions are mirrored on this wonderful remote that comes with it, and that is mostly what I used when I was using it at home. There are also loads of inputs on the back. There is a balanced XLR input. If you like to use audiophile gear, then you can plug that into this as well. And we've also got, very important for me, a phono input for turntables with moving magnet cartridges. When it comes to digital inputs, you've got 3 optical and 3 coaxial inputs, which is plenty to choose from. You can also plug your network directly into the back, and there's a USB Type B input for using your computer if you want to plug that in and do your streaming from there. And then there are 3 more RCA inputs for any other analog components you want to connect. Now, when I was testing this at home, I connected a Marantz SACD30N, which is also a network player, as well as a Super Audio CD player. I have my own trusty Project turntable connected to it, and I also ran my television via the optical cable through the Rotel. This was my first opportunity to try out a Super Audio CD at home, so I checked out kind of what some of the best sellers were, and I settled on one that I had been listening to since I was in high school, Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms. It's an album that won an engineering Grammy in 1986, and I thought, surely that's going to benefit from that layer of HD sound that's on a Super Audio CD, and it really did. It was a very spacious soundstage that I got, and just an incredible amount of detail. It sounded really wonderful. And then, of course, I have a pretty solid CD collection, so I was able to try many different genres of music from different eras. I had some folk, some jazz, and plenty of rock that I was able to listen to, and they all sounded amazing through this player. I do also collect some vinyl, and I had some remastered vinyl out of the Blue Note vaults. They have a Tone Poet series that they're putting out, and I've been picking up a few of those when I can. And again, that just reveals a whole new layer of detail when you listen to something like that through a player like this. Since I had the opportunity to use the Marantz as a streaming network player, I did listen to Spotify Connect and Qobuz and listen to some of my favorite tracks that way as well. And those also sounded very nice thanks to the DAC that's inside of the Rotel integrated amp, and also just due to the power that you get from that toroidal transformer. If you have a nice pair of speakers, then it's going to drive them very well. And what I had to work worked with was a pair of Wharfedale Diamond 11.1 bookshelf speakers. Since I live in an apartment building, I don't like to use too much bass, but I was able to get a strong amount of low end through my Wharfedale Diamond 11.1 bookshelf speakers, just thanks to the efficiency of the power supply here. And of course, it gave me a wonderful spacious sound stage and lots of detail, because when you have that amount of power, not only is that good for making your speakers get loud, but it controls the stop-start motion of the driver, and that's where you get the detail. And so when you get a chance to play around with something like this at home, you pick up on little details that can make a big difference. For one thing, I thought that the menu was easily accessible, either through the remote or if you want to use the buttons on the front of the machine. And as soon as I pulled up a screen and looked at it, I could pretty much tell how it was going to work. Sometimes you're left guessing. Some menu screens can be a little too complicated. Not with Rotel. They make it easy to operate the machine. So basically what I'm saying is I loved this system that I was able to build, and I wish I had been able to keep it, but I was just testing it out at the time, so I did have to return it, but it's a wonderful system. And I would say the thing that I got out of it mostly was that it is a very precise system in terms of giving you sound quality. I was hearing more in tracks that I was familiar with, and I was getting, especially in the Super Audio CD, that layer of HD sound was incredible. I was picking up a lot of detail that I was not getting when I was just listening to it on vinyl or on a regular CD. So those are my impressions of the Rotel RA-1592 Mark II integrated amplifier. If you have any additional questions or you'd like a little assistance, then go to crutchfield.com/contact and give us a shout, and we'll see if we can help you out and answer your questions.